All right, welcome back. So, I'm sure that all of you at some point have heard the Paul Revere, the Boston, Massachusetts silversmith that went on his midnight ride through the countryside telling citizens that the British are coming. But have you ever heard of William Dawes? Dawes also set off on horseback in the same night, but going in a different direction than Revere did. They both had the same message, that the British were going to march the next day on Concord, Massachusetts, to attack a storehouse of weapons the fledgling rebellion had amassed. The next day, men who lived in the area traveled by Revere showed up, and thus the American Revolution begun. But what of Dawes? According to Malcolm Gladwell, author of The Tipping Point, Revere was a connector, someone with a very large social network. He was also a maven, which is an expert in a specific field. When Revere rode into a town, he knew a lot of people, but he also knew the right people. He was a well-known figure in the resistance, and thus when he knocked on people's doors in the wee hours of the morning, people listened to what he had to say. Dawes, on the other hand, was not very well connected, and was relatively unknown. While he had the same message, the results were quite different. Quite different, I guess you could say. So when we look at it, oftentimes we have these people that are well connected, that have a lot of information, that are well respected. In that regard, we could look at Revere as also being what we call an opinion leader. An opinion leader is a well-known individual, or it could even be an organization, that can influence public opinion on a specific subject matter. And again, we see here with I guess, the five different criteria for opinion leadership: being an expert, having an unbiased evaluation, socially active, very similar to the consumer or to the person you're trying to interact with, and in many cases, they're among the first to try or buy new type of products. Well, if we look at it, Revere probably fits into all five of these criteria. For example, if you think about it, um, back in the 1700s, there wasn't a lot of first things to buy, but he was probably willing to try a lot of different things. Today, though, opinion leaders are likely to take the form of celebrities, sports stars, politicians, and even some business leaders. But the thing is, opinion leaders do not need to tell you that they are an opinion leader. People just know it. We hold them in high esteem, and we look to them for guidance in specific product categories. I'm sure all of you have someone you can seek guidance from if you're in the market for a new computer or need tires for your car, or perhaps if you're looking for a great place to stay in New York. But it's not likely you will ask the same person for guidance on all three. Opinion leaders have a genuine interest in a product category, or maybe two of them, and they seek to gain as much information as they can. They're widely read, they seek new information, they want to be known as someone that has the information and a go-to kind of person. And also, one of the things is they have no problem sharing their insight, and we listen to them because they possess some level of expert power in their area. Now, companies that are able to discover opinion leaders and gain their insights have been able to avoid making many costly mistakes, as these well-connected individuals will be very instrumental in the new product development process and how well a new product moves through the marketplace. This is not to say that a company can go out and buy an opinion leader's endorsement. That's far from it. But if they take their advice, companies can make changes to their products or strategies with such great success. Their success can in part be attributed to their desire to truly help people. And they want them to make good choices. And again, opinion leaders are very willing to talk face to face with almost anyone about the product category, which they, again, we'll see is also very effective because it is face to face. Opinion leaders, such as Paul Revere, or today I guess the first one that comes to mind is LeBron James, is supposedly a good opinion leader based on the things that he does. One of the reasons that they're so effective is because they will communicate directly with people. Revere, again, he had no choice back in the time. Today, LeBron James does it through social media and such. But what we have found is that one of the reasons that this type of communication works is that word of mouth has so much greater power than just advertising. Research shows that word of mouth influences up to 50% of all consumer goods sales. Its effectiveness is most profound when potential buyers have limited familiarity with a product category, of course, which is why market mavens, or opinion leaders, can be so important to the growth of new products. Now, word of mouth can come in many different ways. You can talk to somebody face to face, you can talk to them online, you can talk to them on the phone, but these stats basically show that face to face has about a 75% level of effectiveness compared to 15% for phone and 10% being effective online. So we hear a lot of things online, we read a lot of things online, but if you can get somebody that you know and trust to tell you face to face, you're more likely to have higher belief. Now, in the same vein is what we have what's called buzz marketing. And buzz marketing is basically the marketing efforts that focus on generating excitement among consumers. And hopefully this is spread from consumer to consumer. Got a couple of things inside here. You got guerrilla marketing and viral marketing. But buzz marketing means many things to many people. And often the term is confused with viral marketing because, hey, we want to make something go viral when they consider it buzz, but it's not. But we can look at buzz marketing basically as events or activities that are undertaken to generate publicity and excitement in an effort to supply information to consumers. Viral marketing is basically an attempt to deliver a marketing message that spreads quickly and exponentially through the marketplace. So we can do a lot of different things. A lot of times with guerrilla marketing, they're generally done outside the home in public spaces that people are going to get their attention and just make them stop and think. For example, this I guess it's you could look at it as an ad, but it's generally guerrilla marketing. It's just things that are out of home. With a bus stop, just something that Windex put together, and people can see it, they stop and they notice it, and it kind of gets the message that they want across in a very easy way. So when we think of viral marketing, however you want to pronounce it, here we're basically using online to facilitate word of mouth by having consumers spread messages through their online conversations. But think about things that have gone viral. Think about what it is. What comes to mind for you? I guess one of the things to me, the biggest was Psy's Gangnam Style video. This thing spread incredibly quickly. And it spread from, I guess you could say, one source, and it just kept spreading outward and outward and outward exponentially until, I don't know, what was it, 1 billion people eventually watched this video. So again, it's one of those things that you cannot start out sitting down to create some type of message, to create some type of advertisement where you're going to say, okay, we're going to make this thing go viral. It just doesn't work that way. It relies, something to go viral relies too much on the people in the public to be able to push it forward. Oftentimes the ones that push it forward, they're opinion leaders. So we have to make sure that we understand that if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I've got an idea, you give me this much money, I will make your advertisements go viral, throw them out of your office as fast as you can, because it's not going to happen.
I flew United Airlines on my way to Nebraska. The plane departed Halifax, connecting in Chicago's O'Hare. While on the ground, a passenger said from the seat behind me, my God, they're throwing guitars out there. The band and I exchanged a look, best described as terror, at the action on the tarmac, and knowing whose projectiles these would be. So before I left Chicago, I alerted 3 employees who showed complete indifference towards me. United, United 'cause United breaks guitars.
So this video that you see from Dave Carroll basically outlines something that happened to him flying United. And this is what you could call, I guess, going viral. At last check, this video had almost 18 million views on YouTube, but it's, of course, it's slowed down considerably since it first came out. But because of it, Carroll gained a following, gained an awareness. Carlton Cases basically came out and created the Dave Carroll Travelers Edition. He got speaking series, he's written books and stuff like this based on his experience. But again, it's one of those things that it's catchy, it gets people's attention, and you want to share it with others. One of the other areas that falls into this kind of domain is what we call stealth marketing. And these are tactics that marketers will use, but the consumer does not know that they are being targeted with a marketing message. And a couple of things fall into this category, basically what we call shilling and infiltrating. So while some people consider stealth marketing as being quasi-unethical, its use is growing. And one of the most well-known techniques is through what we call product placement in television and movies. Shilling, on the other hand, is where consumers are basically paid without telling people that they're getting paid to promote a product. And infiltrating is basically using a fake identity online to promote a product. Kind of seems like all the fake news that's been going around, or not so fake news, who knows. But yeah, one of the things that in pure stealth product positioning, most people would realize that the company is paying to have their product featured or used in an ad or a television show or a commercial or even in a movie, but some people don't. So it is still called stealth marketing. So all of these elements that we've talked about basically settle down into what we call dyadic exchanges. You have opinion leaders that have great involvement in product category. They have high status and they're integrated into social groups. You have product innovators. These are the ones that will be the first one to buy new product categories. They're not as integrated into social groups than others are, but they are willing to try things out, and some will listen to them. Market mavens, though, have a general market knowledge. They have no set demographics. You can't pin any kind of demographic or separate them that way, but they enjoy being knowledgeable about a market. And then fourth, we have what we call a surrogate consumer. They're very knowledgeable about a very specific category, and they're frequently paid by a professional, like a professional, by the consumer. You can look at these as somebody that is an art buyer. You'll have somebody that's very wealthy. They want a particular piece of art, and they find what they call a surrogate consumer that goes out and gets the art that they need because they know how to deal with it, how to negotiate, and things like that. So, but again, these are all different types of people that we can look at in marketplace, but for the most part, mavens and opinion leaders are kind of what we want to look at and understand more of from a marketing perspective. So finally for this week, I talked earlier about why market mavens and opinion leaders were so important, and the reason, to me at least, is primarily when we look at the diffusion of innovation, especially with this, which basically represents how products and when people come into the market to buy new products. We talked earlier about, I think on the last slide, where the product innovators, well, they only represent about 2.5% of the market for new products that, the new products that come into the market. But it's the early adopters. These are the most critical group for if a new product is going to be sustaining. These early adopters generally will contain the opinion leaders and and mavens. And what happens is that they get hold of the product after talking to probably innovators or seeing it, studying about it. They buy it, They look at it, they may make changes to it, they may make suggestions to the company, they give feedback to the company because they're, they want to be that much informed into the process. If they like it, they are the ones that push it through the rest of the market to the early majority, the late majority, and eventually the laggards that come into it. If the opinion leaders and market mavens don't buy the product, don't like the product, don't think it has a chance, it dies right there. All right, so that's this week's lecture. I'm sorry it was a little bit delayed, but hopefully I'm going to get caught up here and get everything done within the next week or so. So thanks for your patience. See you next week.